So Daniel Penny, free, acquitted, charges dropped, not guilty, and totally free. And I'm going to give you some thoughts on that because I did a video on this and I basically said that this man belonged in jail. And there were several reasons for that. It was not, I mean, the obvious reason being that he basically caused the death of another human being, Jordan Neely. And despite any allegations against this kid or anything to suggest that, he was mentally insane and was going to destroy and kill a bunch of people on the subway that day, that's just it's all nonsense. And this man, Daniel Penny, was responsible for the death of this kid. Did he deserve to go to jail 15, 20 years or 20 years to life? No, I don't think so. I am not speculating or rendering the opinion that Daniel Penny is a racist who took out a black kid. I'm not saying that. And I'm not saying Daniel Penny deserves to rot in a jail cell. He did it with malice and intent. And he was specifically trying to kill that kid. I'm not even saying that. I'm saying this is a very clear-cut case of some negligence here in a situation, and it's been turned into something else. It's been turned into Daniel Penny is a hero. Now, I will not take a small portion of that sentiment from him or suggest that somebody in New York, in my beloved city, on those subways that I've ridden so often for many, many, many years, and I love, in the good times and the bad times, I'm not suggesting that somebody who stands up to defend the rights of the citizens and the other commuters on that, fellow New Yorkers on that train, I'm not suggesting that somebody standing up and having the back of your fellow citizens is a bad thing. I'm not suggesting that he's non-heroic in some way. The fact that he took action, the fact that he stood up or realized or thought there was some sort of a threat, and he stood up and decided to grab this kid and do what he did, I'm not going to play myself. I'm not going to sit here and act like, oh, he had no reason to do that. Now, I will state that I've been on the subway plenty of times where a homeless person gets on, a mentally ill person, someone gets on the train who's threatening or being loud. And you, as a New Yorker, you get used to the idea that you got to keep one eye open. You got to keep an eye on this guy. You make sure they don't get too close to me. Make sure they don't get too close to certain people. And you keep your eyes open. And that threat will either get off at some point, the next stop, they're off the train, or it's some horrible smell. And you're like, oh, man, I just hope they get out of this car. You let them go through your car and go to the next car. We do not vigilante style, sort of like, guardian angels of the 70s. We're not policing people as they get on the train and saying, oh, you look like you might hurt somebody, so I should take you out. I should just get up and whoop your ass. That's not the way we do things, right? We typically keep an eye on people. What this guy did, being loud, Jordan Neely, getting on a train and being loud, could have amounted to nothing more than him having, well, like he said, a bad day, being mentally ill, being off his medication, and saying a few things. He didn't physically get in anyone's face. He didn't physically threaten anybody. That said, if for whatever reason Daniel Penny thought it was okay to get up and restrain him because maybe he thought that this kid was going to do something, okay, fine, I'll give you that. The point of this case and the point of the matter is he's responsible for this kid's death. He took this kid out, laid him down for 6 minutes in a chokehold. Now, there's this other thing about, and this happened, we saw this with George Floyd. Well, it wasn't the chokehold that killed him. It wasn't the knee on the neck or the back that killed him. It was he had drugs in his system. He had a heart condition. He had taken too much whatever that day. He had his Cheerios were dry with no milk. He also had this from when he was a kid, when he was a baby, he had this. So those are the things that actually killed him. Yeah, okay. You want to really do that? Jordan Neely, personal opinion, if he wasn't thrown to the ground and held in a chokehold for 6 minutes by Daniel Penny, he'd still be walking around, or he'd be in a jail cell or some sort of mental institution getting help. Okay? Period. This idea that I'm going to choke someone for 6 minutes and then blame whatever other possible things could have went wrong that day. If he didn't choke that kid, he'd still be walking around. Period. The idea that it's coincidental, well, he would have died anyway. He was actually going to die that day. After he got on the train, the forensic report shows that he only had about 15 minutes left to live because of this heart condition, plus some drugs and stuff that were in his system. He would have died anyway, had it not been for Daniel Penny choking him for 6 minutes. It's nonsense. It's bullshit. Period. I call it straight up what it is. It's bullshit. Now, that man belonged in a cell, at least for a certain period of time. There were consequences to, I can't go into a club, a bar, a social setting where I feel like somebody's had too much to drink and they're being rambunctious, right? And as a citizen, I feel like, oh, that person seems like he might get into a fight. I'm going to go whoop his ass. He dies, and then I have no consequences because I go, well, you know, this guy, a couple of us felt that he was going to start throwing hands, or he seemed like he might have had a weapon on him, so I wanted to protect everybody in the bar, so I grabbed him, choked him out, he died. There's going to be consequences for me if that happens, and as there should be for anyone. It's not a black thing, a white thing. This is not about race. This is just about humanity, and we have laws, manslaughter laws, homicide. He's responsible for the death of this kid, period. The fact that he got off is a real problem and says something about the lack of value for life. Can I say the lack of value for brown people's lives? Yes, I definitely can say that. Can I say the lack of value for life in general, or for the mentally ill? Can we make it about that? What can we make it about? Our fellow New Yorkers, a young kid, a kid who looked a certain way, a kid who acted a certain way. What do we make it about? Because it could be about so many things, but at the end of the day, he took someone's life. I don't care if he choked out a 300-pound white man, a German-born, blue-eyed, blonde-hair white man. If he choked him out, he'd be responsible, and I would feel exactly the same way. The only difference is the aftermath of this and the feeling, the sentiment that goes around. I want to show you the quote from his lawyers. Penny and his lawyers left the courtroom briskly without addressing the throngs of reporters gathered outside. He was then spotted having a drink with his defense attorneys, Thomas Kaniff and Stephen Razor, at Stone Street Tavern in the Financial District. The attorneys issued a statement saying, New Yorkers can take some comfort on knowing that we can continue to stand up for one another without sacrificing our rights or our freedoms. Those words, New Yorkers can continue to stand up, basically saying, giving license to, or saying, suggesting that, hey, you ever feel the need to get up and choke a brother out, knock yourself out? Because that's what that is. That's exactly what that is. That is a license for people. And I'm not going to say for all people. I'm going to say for the morons, the racists, the total losers, like the ones who come up in my comments on the last video I posted about Penny, who are clearly saying stupid because they probably live at home with their mother and they're 400 pounds fat and stupid. So they have to put comments like, oh, George Floyd's drug problem was cured. And they have to say dumb things, and they have to be clearly they're losers. But this is going to incite those type of people. This is going to rally those troops up. Now, here's the other thing I want to touch on. First, I want to take a look at this. I want to look at this video. This is the after. New York Post got some video of Daniel Penny celebrating.
Hi, Daniel. What's up? How you feeling?
Yeah, great.
Yeah.
He's feeling good. He's feeling good. He's feeling good.
What's up? Come together. How's it going? How's it feel?
Feels great. He's finally got the justice he's deserved.
Did you think it was going to happen?
Justice he deserved? He got away with murder. He didn't get justice. Nothing happened to him.
Sorry? No, we think that this should have happened probably on day one, but the important thing is it happened. So we can't control the timing of it, but we can certainly savor the outcome.
And why do you think it was not guilty?
That's him. That's that guy.
well, he's not guilty on a few different reasons, because his actions were justified. He was trying to help people on that train, and he did. And number two, he's not responsible for the death, because the death was caused by a lot of other factors that we tried to present with a lot of clarity, such as the K2 abuse and the sickling crisis, and cardiac issues, not to mention the paranoid schizophrenia, which only added to that impact. So I'm just glad that the jury was able to truly evaluate that as a potential cause of death, and that Danny was justified in the actions that he took.
Yeah, that's called bullshit. That's what that is. No matter how you cut it, that's just bullshit. Let me tell you something. If I go and get into a fight with somebody and kill them, but it turns out the person had a bad heart, plus they weren't in great shape, plus they also happen to be on Ozempic that week, plus they also happen to be a mild alcoholic, the case for that person's death is not going to be, well, he was an alcoholic and was a little overweight, plus he was on Ozempic. There were probably some side effects there, and he also took, he had ecstasy the night before, so that's why he died. It had nothing to do with you. Yeah, I'm free. Are you kidding me? This is a real sick situation. I'm just not happy about it. But I want to stress something else for mostly addressing some of the losers and the racist and the obvious bigots and morons. I'm also not a fan of the statements that were made by BLM leader, New York chapter, whatever, about vigilanteism and violence and doing all this stuff. I'm just not a fan. I don't think that's productive. I don't think that serves a purpose. It's not going to serve a purpose. I think it's fine to express our regret in this matter and our disappointment and a feeling of helplessness when it really, because at the end of the day, that's kind of what it feels like. That's how you're gonna feel. This was not a complicated case. This was not a police shooting where you felt like, okay, did he reach for something? Did he not reach for something? We don't know a police officer's, psychology in that very moment. Was he in danger? Is it something where we can analyze this and maybe it's not as black and white as it looks? No pun intended, right? Like maybe it's just there's some complexity to the case that doesn't necessarily make it some racially motivated thing, or there's some complexities to why that person got shot, right? This is a guy who, again, we're not going to fault him for standing up and saying, hey, look, you better chill out, which he could have done, but he didn't. He grabbed the guy. And now the only thing getting looked at is he saved people on the train. He didn't save people on the train because nothing was transpiring. He proactively did something, and I guess that's what they're hanging on to, the fact that he was proactive in the moment and may have prevented something. There's a difference between prevented something versus may have prevented something. There's a huge difference. There's a big difference between a guy got on a train, pulled a knife out, and was going to attempt to stab a young woman. And I jumped in as a hero and stopped it from happening. There's a big difference between that and someone got on a train talking shit. I thought they might be dangerous, so I killed them. Big difference. Huge difference. Anyway, I'm not even gonna, I didn't even want to talk this long about it. Time to Talk podcast. Let me know your thoughts in the comments below. All the racists, bigots, and morons. Go ahead, put your comments there because you've got nothing else to do with your life anyway. So go ahead, put your comments in there. I don't think it's productive. The violence, anyone saying that we should go out and do vigilante stuff and do all these other things, I don't think that's productive. I think it's more productive to have conversations about this stuff. And any of you racist morons who want to have conversations, feel free. Hit me up. Time to Talk podcast. Subscribe, like the video on the way out, or don't like it. I'll see you on the next one. Peace.